When she closed the door behind her, I didn't think it would be the last time I'd see her as my wife. She wore that soft gray hoodie I bought her in Portland, our last road trip before life got complicated. She packed light, just one weekend bag, no makeup, no heels. Said she needed space, a weekend alone to clear her head. Her voice was calm, rehearsed almost. But her eyes? They never quite met mine. I asked if she was okay. She gave me a tired smile, kissed my cheek like a stranger who used to know me, and said, "I just need to think." That was Friday morning. By Saturday night, I knew. It started with a photo, not one she posted. She was smarter than that, but one she was tagged in by accident. An old college friend, someone I didn't even remember she was still connected to. A beach, wine glasses, and 5 people smiling into the sunset. In the middle of them, her. And beside her, a man I'd never seen before. Her head rested on his shoulder like it belonged there. My stomach dropped in that quiet, almost surgical way it does when you see something that confirms your worst fear. Not with drama, but with finality. I clicked the photo, looked closer. His arm wrapped around her back, his hand resting too comfortably on her hip. She wasn't pulling away. She wasn't hesitating. She looked peaceful, soft, like she'd found something she'd been missing for a long time, and it wasn't me. I didn't move from the couch for an hour. Just stared at the screen like maybe if I watched it long enough, something would change. Maybe it wasn't what it looked like. Maybe it was old. Maybe it was innocent. But the timestamp said otherwise. The GPS tag read Mendocino. She told me she was going to Big Sur. I didn't text her. I didn't call. Instead, I opened my laptop, clicked through the browser history on our shared tablet. She never logged out of anything. Bookings. Com confirmed it all. 2 nights at a boutique inn in Mendocino, booked under her name, paid with our joint account. 2 guests. I stared at that detail like it might vanish if I blinked. 2 guests. 2 people. One of them my wife. The other him. I still didn't cry. It's strange the things you notice when your heart is breaking quietly. Like how the house feels too big when you're the only one breathing in it. How your own bed seems unfamiliar. I didn't even sleep in it that night. I lay on the couch, still in my jeans, still holding the tablet, staring into the dark like it might explain something. By morning, I made a decision. I went to the bedroom, opened the closet, and started packing. I didn't pack with anger. There was no chaos, no flurry of motions, no torn photos or smashed plates. Just quiet. A pair of jeans. My favorite flannel. A few t-shirts. The watch she gave me on our 2nd anniversary. I hesitated, then left it behind. This wasn't a movie. This was real. And in real life, sometimes walking away is the only power you have left. I took the essentials, left the rest. My side of the closet was empty by noon. The bed was made. The kitchen clean. I even took out the trash. Then I wrote her a note. Not long. Just a few lines, folded once and left on the counter. You said you needed time to think. I needed truth. I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for. The closet's empty. So is my trust. Be well. I didn't sign it. Didn't need to. I drove south without a destination. Just the road and the sound of my own breathing. Somewhere around Carmel, I pulled over and finally let the weight hit me. Not as a scream. Not even tears. Just a silence so loud it filled my chest like water. This wasn't just about another man. It was about how long she'd been slipping away. And how I'd let her. There were signs, of course. There always are. The sudden retreats. The quiet dinners. The way her smile faded faster than it used to. I thought it was stress. I thought it was life. I never imagined it was someone else. But maybe I should have. I wanted to hate her. God, that would have made it easier. But instead, I just felt hollow. Like someone had erased the pages of the life we wrote together and left me holding a book full of blank chapters. And yet, somewhere in all that hurt, there was a strange clarity. She'd found someone else's shoulder to rest on. And I'd found the truth. She came back to silence. And an empty closet. She came back Sunday evening. I know because I got the Ring camera alert. I watched her pull into the driveway, step out of the car like nothing had changed, like she hadn't just rewritten the definition of us while I was still trying to protect what was left. She had a coffee in her hand. From that little coastal cafe she used to drag me to. Hair tied up. Sunglasses on her head. She looked relaxed. A little sunburned. She didn't look like someone who'd just made a choice that couldn't be undone. I didn't answer when she called. 5 minutes later, the second alert came. Motion at the front door. Then another. She opened it. Walked into the house we shared. into the silence I'd left behind. I imagined her stopping, standing there in the living room where I used to sit every evening waiting for her, where the note waited now instead. I imagined the moment she saw the closet, the empty space where my things used to be. No jackets, no shoes, no familiar smell of cedar and aftershave she always said reminded her of winter mornings in Tahoe. Just white walls, cold shelves. She didn't call again. Instead, she texted, "Where are you?" A second one came a few minutes later. "Please, talk to me." Still, I said nothing. I drove inland, slept in a motel with thin walls and humming lights and a TV that only got static channels after midnight. I lay on that bed and tried to piece it all together. Not just the weekend, not just the man, but all the small, quiet betrayals that led us here. It wasn't sudden. It never is. There were cracks long before Mendocino. The nights she turned away when I reached for her. The meals eaten in silence, phones between us like walls. Her laugh fading from our kitchen. Her voice growing distant, like she was already somewhere else. I remembered the way she used to trace my fingers when we sat together on the couch. The way she'd sneak up behind me and press her face into my back when I cooked. Those things vanished slowly. And I let them. I thought it was a phase. A storm we'd ride out. I didn't know she'd already found another harbor. By Tuesday, she sent an email. Not a message. Not a call. An email. Subject line. "Please read. I don't know how to explain any of this. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. He's not. It's not what you think." I didn't plan it. It was just one of those things that crept up, and by the time I realized what it meant, it had already gone too far. I didn't go away to be with him. I went to be away. To think. But I guess I already knew, didn't I? "I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you." No signature. No love, Amanda. Not even a yours. Just, "I never meant to hurt you." That's what people say when they want you to grieve quietly. When they want you to think it was just bad timing, just a mistake. Like they tripped and fell into someone else's arms. But love doesn't fall apart overnight. It erodes, piece by piece, under the weight of silence and swallowed words and opportunities never taken to ask each other, "Are we okay?" We weren't okay, and I think she knew that long before I did. I spent the next week in a cabin up near Shaver Lake. My cousin let me borrow it. No cell service, no Wi-Fi, just wood and wind and a stack of old books that smelled like campfires and rain. I needed the stillness. I needed to stop checking my phone. She sent 3 more emails. I didn't open the last one. I already knew what it would say. I wasn't angry. Not really. That's the strange part. I wasn't even sad anymore. Just tired. Tired of fighting for someone who'd already crossed a line and left me on the other side of it. The night before I drove back to the city, I sat by the fire pit outside and wrote in my journal. I don't usually journal, but that week, it helped. It gave shape to the mess. I wrote, *, she didn't pick him because he's better than me. She picked him because he's newer, easier, because she didn't want to fix what was broken between us. And maybe I stopped trying too. But I deserve the truth. Not silence. Not lies packed in an overnight bag. *. I tore the page out, folded it into quarters, and tossed it into the fire. Let it burn. Let it go. Or at least try. She came back to silence. She came back to an empty closet. She thought she'd come back to the same version of me. The man who always forgave, who always waited, who always hoped. But that man left the moment I saw her resting her head on someone else's shoulder like it was always meant to be there. She cleared her head, and I cleared my life. 3 weeks passed before I saw her again. It was a chance encounter. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe life just knows when something needs to be faced. I was in line at the grocery store, cart half full of things I used to buy for 2. She stepped in behind me without noticing, scrolling through her phone. I recognized the perfume first. That citrus lavender blend she started wearing around the time the distance between us became more than metaphor. I turned slowly. She looked up and froze. I didn't speak. She did. Hey, quiet. Fragile. The word didn't carry the weight it needed to. Not for everything it left unspoken. I just nodded. She reached for a bag of almonds from the impulse rack. Her hand shook slightly. It always did when she was nervous. I used to take her hand in mine when that happened. This time, I let it tremble. "How've you been?" she asked, eyes searching mine like maybe she'd find the version of me she remembered. The one she left behind. "Good," I said, and meant it more than I thought I would. There was a pause. That strange, stretched silence that only happens between two people who once knew each other entirely and now don't know how to say hello. I, I got your note, she said, not meeting my eyes. And the closet. I nodded again. Nothing to add. She looked like she wanted to say more, but words caught in her throat. I could see the effort, the guilt swirling just behind her eyes, clinging to the edge of her voice. I didn't know it would end like that. Neither did I. She bit her lip. I didn't mean for it to fall apart. Things don't fall apart on their own, Amanda, I said, calm but firm. They're taken apart, piece by piece. And we both held the tools. That hit her. I saw it. And for a second, I almost softened. Almost reached for her like I used to. But something in me held back. Maybe dignity, maybe growth, maybe just the quiet understanding that some chapters aren't meant to be rewritten. She stepped back, placing the almonds down. He wasn't what I thought, she whispered. I didn't ask her to explain. I didn't want the details. Not anymore. I paid for my groceries and walked out. A few days later, I got an email from her, short, final. I moved out. I didn't want to stay in the house after you left. I'm sorry for everything. Take care of yourself. Amanda. There was no plea, no offer to meet, just closure. I sat in my new apartment, smaller, quieter mine. No shared closets. No echo of her footsteps down the hall. I stared at the message for a while. Then I deleted it. That night, I lit a candle on the balcony and watched the city breathe. What do you do after the person you trusted most becomes a stranger? You rebuild. Not fast. Not dramatically. But honestly, I started hiking again. Picked up a camera. Filled my weekends with trails and sunrise views in places I never knew I missed. I read more. Ate slower. Slept easier. People say heartbreak changes you. That's true. But what they don't tell you is that it also reveals you. What you value. What you ignore. What kind of love you've been giving without ever asking for it in return. She didn't destroy me. She revealed me. And what she walked away from was a man learning how to stay standing, even when the ground crumbled. I don't think I'll ever understand exactly when she stopped choosing me. But I understand now that I don't need to. Some answers only bring more questions. What matters is that I didn't stay in the silence she left behind. The closet's still empty. And now, it's meant to be. Space for something new. Something real. Something honest. Because love isn't resting your head on someone's shoulder while lying to the one who gave you everything. Love is showing up, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. And the next time someone asks for space to clear their head, I'll know better. I'll know that real love doesn't require disappearing. It requires staying.